2024 has been a very interesting year for the gacha gaming scene. Many new games have come out, many failures have appeared, and there has been some ongoing games that have stayed successful. Now, for me, I have played a lot of gacha games this year, and I decided to make this video talking about every single gacha game that I have played in 2024. Now, I made this channel in 2024 deciding to talk about gacha games in the gacha genre. I pretty much started out with Wuthering Waves information videos and have branched out into other gacha games and mobile related content. It's mainly surrounded around mobile gaming, so pretty much the gacha genre. And I wanted to just make a video talking about, my favorite gacha games of the year. You'll go through and see the ones that I've dropped and the ones that are still in my rotation, and maybe you might pick up some of those games depending on what you see from me. So let's get into the rules of this video. Now, how we're going to do the order of this video is I'm going to talk about a game. At the end of it, I'm going to say whether I drop that game, if I'm playing that game patch to patch or update to update, or if that game is still in my gacha rotation. So all the games that I play pretty much on a daily basis. And just for fun, after every game, I'm also going to tell you how much I've spent on that game in the year of 2024. Whether, it's $1, $1,000, I will just put the price, tell you how much I spent. Whether you find that funny, sad, depending if I drop the game, it could be an interesting thing to put in there, so that will be there as well. Now that you know what's going on, we're going to jump into this gacha recap and talk about all of these gacha games. There is quite a lot for this year, so please enjoy. Now, to kick it off, I want to talk about some honorable mentions that unfortunately didn't make the cut for this video and aren't going to have their own individual sections where I talk about them. They did get dropped early on, and they have a significantly less amount of playtime than these other games. These titles would include PGR, Punishing Gray Raven, Hazard Lane, and Black Clover Mobile. PGR is still a very good game, but unfortunately I only have time to play one of the developers' games. PGR still has some of the best action combat in the gacha genre. The content is very fun, the game is generous, but unfortunately there are other games to play. Black Clover Mobile was just an anime IP game that I wanted to try because I liked Black Clover. It looked like it had a decent amount of quality and effort put into it, but it was just turn-based with the anime graphics turned into a game format and added gacha elements on top of that. Nothing too special. I dropped that after a week. Now, Hazard Lane has no gameplay in the year of 2024. It is only good because of the absolute amazing character designs, and about the only thing I could do with that game was hop on for a quick goon session. Now, ironically, moving on from the honorable mentions, the first game that we're going to be talking about is Brown Dust 2. Now, I have played Brown Dust 2 on and off since it first came out to global. I have played again this year in 2024, and if you don't know what Brown Dust 2 is, it is a JRPG turn-based game, kind of like the OG Final Fantasy if you want to compare it to that, but the goon elements are turned up to the absolute maximum. Now, since this game came out, they have since changed their age rating from 12 and up to 17 and up, and have also confirmed that they are no longer making male characters and will only be designing female characters. It seems that they have found their target audience indeed. Now, there is things that Brown Dust 2 does well. The JRPG 2D map looks graphically pretty well done. Unfortunately, there is a lot that they don't do that good, but we'll talk about the positives first. The gacha system is very generous. You get a free pull daily for these limited banners. As you recruit costumes and upgrade them, you get more pulls to pull for the costumes again, because it's all about costumes in this game to get the most power. Now, for the downsides, the character designs are very good, but when you go into the combat, it is turn-based, it is chibi-based, and it is grid-based, so you're not going to see your amazingly well-done characters. You just get a very interesting cutscene, and you can go maybe see that cutscene in the menu screen every time you log in, and you can go inspect the characters in the little inspection area. There is things that this game does well, like I do like the fact that they have like a cartridge game system for the story system, where you put in a game cartridge, you go through playing these stories like you're a gamer, JRPG elements like I said, but I think the game is really only known for the characters, unfortunately, and for me it's the same way. I really only played to see how crazy the character designs were, and in the year of 2024, I think there's other games that are better to play. So with that being said, in 2024, I have dropped Brown Dust 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't meet the requirements that I would want to play in the daily gacha cycle, and it definitely isn't enjoyable content-wise for me. The character designs are indeed very interesting, and you may find that unique and you may want to play it for that alone, but unfortunately it didn't do it for me. The grand total that I've spent on Brown Dust 2 in the year of 2024 is $0. Now, the next game that I'm going to be talking about is an absolute giant in the gacha space, Honkai Star Rail. This came out in 2023, and as soon as it came out, I already loved it. From the betas that I played, I loved the character designs. I liked that Hoyoverse was doing something different from what they did with Genshin Impact, and the story was almost way superior, infinitely better than what Genshin Impact was doing at the time, and it truly just replaced every other gacha game as my main game. The main reason I liked Honkai Star Rail so much was because of the fun button or the auto button. I think any game that has an auto button to play the game automatically is a great thing, because when it comes to playing lots of gacha games, you might not be able to focus on one game or all of these games at the same time, so that game being able to play itself allows you to focus on some of the other games in your daily cycle, which is what made Honkai Star Rail such a good game to have in the daily gacha rotation. Now in 2024, I don't feel the same way as I did about Honkai Star Rail in 2023. I think they've done a lot wrong this year compared to 2023. The content in 2023 was great, the events, the rewards that you got, the devs felt like they cared about what they were doing and pumping out, the character designs were great, but when 2024 came around, Penny came out, they dropped the ball with the ending of the story. Every character design kind of felt more and more meh. They were rushing out 5-star characters non-stop, so you felt like you had to constantly pull 5-star characters, but that's just how turn-based games are, where the meta is constantly changing, but you can't really keep up with that amount of swiping when you're playing other gacha games. The thing about Honkai Star Rail that was so good was that there was lots of content, but now with more games coming out that are better and better, that do things better than Honkai Star Rail, there is almost too much content in the game now where I don't have enough time to solely focus on it, and it feels like a chore to do. Now, I know not a lot of people are going to agree with me on that, and I think a lot of people don't play multiple gacha games at the same time, and they still will argue, well, you can still play Honkai Star Rail on the side and maybe do the bare minimum, but for me, when the game has lost its charm and I'm enjoying other things more, I just can't put the time or effort into it anymore for like the daily gacha rotation. I hope for version 3.x and above, everything will be good again, and the game will bring me back in. I mean, they're adding new paths, the character designs are looking good again, but I can only hope for a better future on the game. Now, with that being said, in 2024, Honkai Star Rail has become a patch-to-patch or update-to-update kind of game for me. I really only hop on for the story because that was the main reason I think a lot of people played it in the first place. I really played it for the character designs because I thought they were really well done and the ultimates and animations were nice, but the version 2.x updates kind of dropped the ball with the characters. I hope for better in 3.0. And the grand total that I spent in 2024 for Honkai Star Rail is $1,000, which is sad to say because this game was in my daily gacha rotation, and I have invested quite an amount of time and money into the game, but I am not happy with the current state of the game. Now, the next game is Goddess of Victory NIKKE. I have had a blast playing this game, the character designs are amazing, the music is easily the best in the gacha space, the story is easily one of the best in the gacha space. I have enjoyed the content in this game. It is very easy to play, they constantly listen to feedback, it's more than generous. There is things that this game does do bad, like recently with the new Christmas live stream that they did, they announced another collab with Ava, which I truly don't think was a good idea, because that just makes it look like they want more money after saying the first one didn't perform well. But this game truly steals the money out of your pockets with the way they monetize it in the first place. That is really the only downside, is the monetization. The $60 gacha skins are atrocious. The packs will milk you dry, and that is really the only downside about NIKKE. With that being said, in the year of 2024, NIKKE has stayed in my daily gacha rotation. I absolutely love this game, I've played it daily, content's easy to do, characters are peak, music is peak, everything about this game is amazing. The devs truly go above and beyond all the time, but there is things that they do wrong. I think we need to criticize them to keep this game feeling good, and I hope that it stays a good game with the community around it. I truly think that if you haven't played, you should. And the total amount of money that I've spent on NIKKE in 2024 is $2,000, which is the most I've spent on any gacha game this year, and that is mainly thanks to Cinderella in the 2nd anniversary. Now for this next one, I'm going to combine both of these games together, Zenless Zone Zero and Genshin Impact. To start, ZZZ came out this year in July, and I had fun playing it at the start. I played it for a little bit, but I kind of fell off of it as there was other games that I was playing at the time, and I really didn't have enough time to invest into it. I got Ellen, and then I kind of just hopped off. Now, version 1.4 was actually very good. I honestly enjoyed the story a little bit more than I thought I would. There were some pretty good scenes there. Miyabi is easily one of the best characters they've released so far, and I might come back to play a little bit more in version 1.5 when those characters come out. But for me, the content is still very good in Zenless Zone Zero. The character designs are easily one of the best, but for me there just hasn't been enough time to play it. So unfortunately, Zenless Zone Zero has fallen to a patch to patch or update to update cycle, and the total that I have spent on Zenless Zone Zero is $400 in the year of 2024, because I wailed just a little bit. Now with Genshin Impact, I'm going to be honest, I really haven't played that game this much this year. I hopped on for Natlan just for a little bit, just to see the story, because I'm invested. I've played this game for a long time. It was easily one of my favorite gacha games way back in the days, regrettably, but in the year of 2024, it really didn't stand out to me. I thought they'd do more graphically when they said they were doing some changes for 5.0. The open world really didn't impress me that much. The 5.0 story was more than mid, didn't impress me. The character designs have been mid. I mean, Genshin really doesn't have good character designs anymore in my opinion compared to some of the other games out there. There is some characters that I do enjoy, like I might hop on to pull for Mwavika, maybe, potentially, the Pyro Archon, I don't know, we'll see. I think her outfit could have been done better as well, but Genshin Impact has fallen to a patch to patch or update to update game for me in 2024, and I have spent $0 on this game this year. Now another game that I played this year actually came out this year as well is called STARSEED. It's pretty much just a copy of Eversoul brought to you by the publishers of Summoner's War. So if you play Eversoul, I really wouldn't recommend playing this unless you want a quote-unquote newer, more futuristic version of Eversoul. The 3D models are kind of mid, they're okay. The 2D art is actually pretty good. You get a fun little anime opening every time you update the game or at the start of the game. The gacha is pretty generous, but it's generous because you have to get a bunch of copies of characters to even feel the absolute peak of success in the game. There is a fun little messaging system where you can interact with your characters, I guess. It does it better than other games. This is more of just a fun side auto battler game, and it does pretty good at auto battling stuff. So I've actually incorporated this game to my daily gacha rotation in 2024 just to fill in on as like a side game, and it's actually a pretty fun side game, I won't lie. I have spent $0 on STARSEED, and if you want to check it out, you can, but if you're already playing another fun auto battler, then you definitely don't need to play this. Now the next game is Wuthering Waves. This game easily became my favorite game of the year. It was my main gacha game for a while, and I really enjoyed what they did. It easily replaced Genshin Impact as my open world gacha game to play, and the graphics were just better, and I enjoyed the characters more, I'll be honest. But I'm just going to start with some of the negatives that this game has. It had a very, very bad launch. I think the devs dropped the ball. I played the beta version, and the beta even needed work optimization-wise, and when the game dropped, it still had terrible optimization. Now, the team constantly listened to feedback early on because they desperately needed to keep their game alive after they spent so much time and effort into this game, and they definitely needed to get the money off of this game to make back some of what they spent on it. Now, they did fix a lot of things relatively fast. I'm going to be honest, mobile feels fine to play, and if anybody is still having issues playing mobile, it is definitely because of the hardware that they have in their device, and unfortunately they have to accept that these games are becoming more graphically advanced. Another thing is the lack of controller support for mobile gamers. I think the mobile gamers make up a vast amount of the players on your game. A lot of people are playing these gacha games on mobile, and the lack of controller support on release really hindered a lot of people's enjoyment of the game. Especially with this fast-paced action combat, you're going to want to put a controller on there, especially with these advanced visuals, because your phone is going to be getting hot, and people definitely don't want to burn their hands off while playing this game. You're going to want to use a controller. It took them a really long time to implement full controller support, and I definitely think it may be a minor thing for most people, but it definitely made a lot of the mobile community mad, and as someone that really covers a lot of mobile content with these gacha games, you gotta just cater to some of your mobile players, because that is a large amount of your player base. But I do think with Wuthering Waves, the majority of the player base is actually on PC, but the problem was a lot of their optimizations on PC felt rough, because You have to have high-end hardware to even have 120 FPS. And the story has been more than bad for Wuthering Waves for a decent amount of time now. The version 1.2 update was pretty good with the new area that they added, and they showed what they could do, but overall version 1.x really felt like a beta phase of the game, or like an open beta, because it seems like the devs have put a lot more into version 2.x and above from what I'm seeing. I'm hoping that's the case, but the story was definitely not the best in the early versions of the game. The positives would definitely be the gacha system. I think more developers in the gacha industry need to look at Wuthering Waves and go, hey, that doesn't seem like a bad idea. I think if you're going to have a weapon banner, it needs to be 100% guaranteed. Sure, you can add your pity on there, but it needs to be 100% guaranteed. There is no losing on that. That should be purely an extra thing that players can get if they want to, and if they choose to get it, it should be guaranteed. Having the standard weapons separated from your standard characters is also another good thing, so that you can just pull on the standard weapons for 100% guarantee if you want to, and then if you have pulls for a standard character, you can do that as well. The generosity has been amazing from the devs. They handed out a free limited character who was pretty solid. Now that just is to keep the players happy and playing the game, but that is, more than enough. And in 2024, I have kept Wuthering Waves in my daily gacha rotation. I think there is a lot that they need to do better. They need to probably shorten these patch cycles so that they can get higher quality content in there, in a shorter amount of time. I think more people would be happy with that. But the grand total that I've spent on Wuthering Waves in 2024 is $600. Now, the final game I want to talk about is Girls Frontline 2. This game came to global here in December of 2024, and I have played on the CN servers, but I've since hopped over to the global servers so I can read it translated in English and get the global experience instead of translating Chinese. Now, I think they did a great job with the global release. Besides the payment issues at the start, the game has been amazing on global. At least the English stuff has been translated well, and I've had fun playing it. I think bringing out Swomi first as the first limited character was genius, because everyone needs this support. She's the best support in the game, and without her, the content becomes harder. The game just becomes a lot easier with Swomi, so a very smart decision there. Ulrid's there as well. I think they're running with this double banner kind of cycle to speed things up a little bit. The next update's Macchiato and Papasha. You can argue she's free, so it's not really double banner, but I think they'll probably keep doing this, which would be kind of interesting to see how fast they can, catch up to CN if they do decide to do that. But it kind of feels like they're their own separate games right now in different regions. Like Global's doing stuff differently, and then CN's doing stuff differently. It's all kind of weird. It's kind of funny, but we'll see how they work things out. But this game has been easily my favorite game to play of 2024, and it is my main and favorite gacha game of 2024. It will take the crown for sure, and I have just had an absolute blast playing this. And I think if you haven't played Girls Frontline 2 yet, you absolutely need to. Easily some of the best model designs, the best 3D models I have ever seen. The detail is so insane. I mean, sure, it's a Gooner game, but I don't even care, man. It's peak. And with hearing all that, you could probably already guess that in 2024, Girls Frontline has stayed on my daily gacha rotation, and I think it will continue to do so. Now, how much money have I spent in 2024 on Girls Frontline? The answer would be $500. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you've enjoyed me talking about my crippling gacha addiction and my terrible financial decisions, please watch some other videos. I'll probably make more mobile videos on the other big graphically demanding gacha games that will probably come out in 2025.